Fall 2024 is crazy and frenzy, so this time I'd like to introduce all the light novel adaptations that will start airing in the fall of 2024 from October onwards. There will be quite a few light novels broadcast from October, with a total of 17 titles being broadcast. Of these, 9 are sequels and 8 are new titles. First of all, let's start with sequel titles. The third season of ReZero Starting Life in Another World has finally arrived. It's one of the most anticipated anime of the fall season. It has quite a very unique structure, and the first episode is 19 minutes long. I'm already looking forward to it. Then, the main story is divided into 2 parts. The first part, the attack part, will be broadcast from October and consists of 8 episodes. After that, there will be a break, and the second half, the counter-attack part, will broadcast from February. Then this will also consist of 8 episodes. So the third season will be divided into the attack part and the counter-attack part, each with 8 episodes, and is scheduled to be broadcast for a total of 16 episodes. It's not a full episode, nor it is 2 seasons long, so it seems odd. But if you look at the previous ReZero anime, they have been really particular about the main story, and in order to make time for the main story, they cut out most of the opening and endings, and sometimes even the supporting scenes. So they were really particular about the main story. So the fact that the production ended up with a total of 16 episodes for the third season, which seems odd, is the flip side of the fact that they were able to fit everything in neatly, so I think there's a lot of hope in it. Is it wrong to try pick up Girls in a Dungeon? Season 5 has also arrived. The previous Season 4 was already incredibly well done, but the big developments that have been followed since then will only make it more interesting. It hasn't been announced yet, but it's expected that there will be probably a second season. The previous Season 4 was the equivalent of the 3 volumes of the original, but it was divided into separate seasons, so the 5th season that will be drawn this time will be even longer than the part that was in Season 4, so it's definitely going to be a second season. The 5th season will feature the largest battle in the history of Orario. I'm looking forward to it. Sword Art Online Alternative Gun Gale Online Season 2 is getting hot. This work is a spin-off of SAO. It's a story set in the world of GGO. In the first season, the battle between the main character and his enemy was depicted, but this time, the story will be told with the main character who was a warrior becoming an ally again, so it will be even more exciting. It was originally produced by Studio 3HZ, but from the second season, it will be produced by A1 Pictures. Shang Ren Frontier Season 2 will also start airing soon. The first season was really interesting, but the second season that follows will start with the fight against Lucas. This second season will also be broadcast in the Japanese language slot, just like the previous season, and it has been decided that it will be broadcast for 2 consecutive seasons. Next up is the new upcoming titles. The most notorious talker runs the world's greatest clan. I like the original novel, so I'm really looking forward to the anime. In terms of content, the main character, Noah, is a support class that is described as the weakest. He inherited the passion of his grandfather, a hero, and made extraordinary efforts to become a powerful explorer, but he still couldn't make full use of his natural talent. At that time, he found a way to become the strongest, and that was to gather allies and create the world's strongest clan. So in this work, the main character can't become the strongest, but he gathers the strongest members around him and creates the strongest team. That's the kind of story it is. It's quite interesting, as he gathers his friends in a way that makes full use of his wicked ways, and it is not the conventional way. Goodbye Dragon Life. This is a very old series that has been running for over 10 years. The story is about a dragon who was once the strongest, but was reborn as a human and began to feel happy in his everyday life and to connect with people. But then various enemies appeared. It seems like the PV was a bit poorly made, but I wonder how it will turn out. Nageki no Bore wa Intai Shitai, let this grieving soul retire. The original story was interesting, so I'm really looking forward to the anime. The story is about 6 friends, and one of them was a boy who was overwhelmingly untalented. That was the main character, who was dark, and the main character had no talent and no role. So he was told to be the leader and he did as he was told, and the other party members around him started to make a name for themselves, and before he knew it, he had become the leader of the strongest party. From there, the main character was gradually misunderstood by those around him to be an incredible person because he was the leader of that strongest party, and things started to get a crazy turn. It's a comedy about misunderstandings. I'll become a villainess who goes down in history. The main character is reincarnated as a villain named ReZero in an otome game, and she tries her best to become the world's greatest villain in history. It's a pretty interesting story, but the more she tries to become a villain, the more people around her react to her. Nolan Life in Another World Hitori Bochi no Isekai Koryaku is a story about a lonely person conquering another world. This is a work where the whole class is summoned to another world. Usually, when the whole class goes to another world, the classmates don't have very good personalities. But in this work, the classmates are very good. In the midst of all of this, everyone is given cheat skills, but in fact, they tend to be quick, and the classmates take the ones they want, so the protagonist works hard in the other world with the leftovers. But because he's a loner, he has to go on a lonely adventure in the other world. That's how the story unfolds. The character designs is closer to the comic version, and the characters are very cute. It's also nice. The healer who was banished from his party is actually the strongest. As the title suggests, this is a story about an exile. The protagonist, Ruth, is called useless by other adventurers and is used and discarded. One day, a girl appears in front of Ruth, and that's where the story begins. Demon Lord 2099. This is a work that won an award at the Fantasia Grand Prize, and the content is based on the theme of the so-called Demon King and Hero. It's a story of a hero and a demon king that's been really used, but this work adds a cyberpunk element to the near future, and it's a completely different demon from the previous ones. The Demon King, who was once the strongest, wakes up in the future world, and the world has changed completely, becoming a very cyberpunk world. In that world, what will the Demon King who was once famous in the world do? That's the kind of story it is. And last but not least, the Doover damsel conquers the Dragon Emperor. This is a work by the author of I Am the Villainess, So I'm Taming the Final Boss, which was previously made into an anime. The protagonist, Gale, is falsely accused and sentenced to death by the city of Oda, which is her public promise. She is caught up in the phenomenon that takes her back to the time when she was 10 years old and was engaged before her death. In order to avoid the path of ruin, Jill quickly proposes to the person behind her, but it turns out that he is already the emperor of the enemy country. This is where the story begins. So that's it for the light novel anime series that will start airing in fall 2024. I get the impression that the sequel titles are strong. There are many noteworthy works such as DanMachi, GGO, Shangri-La, ReZero, Arifureta, and many more. The next season's light novel slot will probably a lot of highly anticipated works adapted. If you have any works that you are interested in, please let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.